And welcome to CBN News. I'm Dan Andros. CBN's Billy Hallowell is with me today, as well as CBN's Tara Mergener in Washington, D.C. for this year's March for Life. Vice President Vance and Speaker Johnson are among those who will be speaking today, as even after Roe, the fight goes on to end abortion once and for all. The theme for 2026 is Life is a Gift. And this is a deliberate shift, Billy, from purely political messaging to more of a celebratory, human-centered vision of life's value. And so they're looking to kind of maybe go towards more of culture building rather than just the political wins here.
At the end of the day, you know, how you win this battle, there's the political legal battle and there's the heart battle, and both are important, but the heart battle is the most important. You have to win people over, help them understand why abortion is immoral. Why is it wrong that this is a life, that a lot of the language that has been fed into this is not only inaccurate, but it's dangerous. And so I think they've moved, because of that national victory, much more into that position, as you said, of supporting the understanding, the heart understanding of why abortion should be unthinkable.
All right. And so this is how this goes every year. And so there's Sanctus Real is performing right now on the stage. And then in just a little bit here, the speakers are going to start, and they'll be speaking on the stage for about an hour or so, usually starting around the top of the hour here. And we'll bring that to you uninterrupted. And then afterwards, once the stage portion of the day wraps up, then the march begins, and they march from the stage location all the way down to Capitol Hill. So we will bring you that stage, all the speakers uninterrupted. And so once that's done, we'll come back on. Tara is down there in Washington, D.C., and she is getting interviews here. And in fact, Tara, we'll welcome you in now. And it looks like you have an interview guest waiting for you right at the moment.
Sanctus Real, we're in the media tent. We're very lucky we're out of the cold, but you can hear them. The sound is bouncing off the walls. It's a very, as you said, celebratory atmosphere. People are very happy to be here, grateful to be here, but they also know there is so much more work to be done. This is the fourth March for Life since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022. And one of the people who is on the front lines of this battle is Dr. Ingrid Skop. She is with you are an OBGYN with the Charlotte Lozier Institute, and she has really been working with a lot of these young women who are, you know, in the heat of this and making some very tough decisions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's so good to be with you.
Yeah, I mean, you are working with a lot of these young women, and you can see where so much work is yet to be done on the front lines of this battle. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I'm a researcher at Charlotte Lozier, and I'm a practicing obstetrician in Texas. And so I'm seeing the women suffering. What is happening today is that there are no guardrails on the abortion drugs, mifepristone and misoprostol. Women are ordering them online. Sometimes it's men, coercive men. There's no verification of who's getting them. They're being delivered in the mail, often into pro-life states like Texas. So no testing beforehand, no doctor to walk with a woman through the abortion. These are essentially totally medically unsupervised, self-managed abortion, and no doctor available to care for them. So covering the emergency room, I'm seeing so many of these women who've been harmed, often requiring surgery because their bodies are unable to complete the process. The risk of infection is quite high. In fact, there is a deadly sepsis that is associated with these drugs. And emotionally, it's devastating. They're told this is quick and easy, like a heavy period. What they experience in many cases is labor, is prolonged bleeding, and sometimes seeing their child.
One of the goals for the March for Life is to have a culture change, right? So it's not just politics and fighting, that the culture changes where this is no longer acceptable to us. So how much work, it seems, has yet to be done? Because even as we speak, we've got all these people here, pro-life, 900,000 abortions are being done every single year. What needs to change in this country?
Well, we need to value every human life. Science is unmistakable. From the moment of fertilization, a unique human exist, who is living. He is not his parents. He has his own unique chromosomal makeup, and he is fulfilling every function that he needs to prove that he is living. And yet, philosophically, so many in our country have decided that is not a life worth protecting. So it's a human rights issue. I think we need to start thinking of it from that perspective, but also it's so important to recognize it harms his mother too. Even if she does not have a physical complication, 60% of women with a history of abortion tell us they would have preferred to give birth. What women really want is the support, often from the man who made them pregnant, that would enable them to become a mother, to bear their child. There are 2,700 pregnancy centers in our country. They exist to provide that support. And yet, again, with these drugs being ordered online, no one's talking about alternatives. These women don't know that there are so many who want to walk alongside them. So this is the next conversation that we need to be having. This is a human life. All human life has value. And these women that are in crisis, we can do so much better for their crisis than to say, in the life of your child, and that'll solve your problems.
What is the biggest challenge you see now?
Well, I think, unfortunately, there are many people who don't understand what is going on. They don't know that these dangerous abortion drugs are flooding our states. They don't know that women do suffer from abortion. So, for those who discount the unborn child, which of course is a tragedy, as an obstetrician, I have 2 patients and I love them both and I advocate for them both. But for those who don't think that the child has value, I want to say, you know what? You're also not helping the mother. 50 years under Roe with unlimited abortions, the United States became the leading country with maternal mortality. So women are suffering in our country, mental health, chronic illness, deaths related to childbirth. And this is not a solution. Abortion is not a solution to that. In many ways, I think abortion is one of the causes of that.
Dr. Skop, thank you so much for joining us. We know you're really out there fighting for the pro-life movement. We appreciate you. And guys, back to you. Certainly a lot of passion here today at the march, as always.
Since you've been out and about there and on the scene, can you just kind of describe, I know last year was super cold.
Yes.
And still a good turnout as always, but what are you seeing just on the ground there so far?
Yeah, certainly a lot of people coming in, still filing in on the National Mall. The band sounds like it is just wrapped up. I don't hear it anymore, but definitely a lot of enthusiasm. But at the same time, people know there's a long road ahead. Every year, tens of thousands of people, like many young people. We walked the march last year and as in other years, and so many young people coming from universities from everywhere. Like Liberty University alone is 1,000 people coming of their young people. So they're very devoted and very dedicated to the pro-life movement. I think the thinking is that the weather here is so much better this year. I think the high is like 42 degrees. Last year it was so cold, but always a great turnout and just so much commitment and passion to ending abortion once and for all.
Yeah, and this storm that's coming, by the way, is not going to hit, at least in my neck of the woods. I don't know when it's supposed to hit in the DC area, but I'm a little north of you guys, and it's supposed to hit on Sunday. And so that's going to wreak havoc. But thankfully for the march here, that they're going to pull this off without a hitch weather-wise.
Definitely.
And so that's great. So Tara, appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in some places it's going to hit, we're thinking at like 7:00 tomorrow night in some areas. So it really depends where you are. It is definitely a moving target, but that is the undertone here, is when is that storm going to hit?
Yeah, I can imagine. So, well, we'll be looking forward to, I know you've got a lot of interviews that you're chasing down there. So we will bring you those, as many as we can, as on this live stream. So appreciate it, Tara.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks.
All right. And Billy, so this is an interesting shift now, because like Tara was saying, Roe v. Wade is obviously, it's 4 years now. So this has been some time, and I'm still hearing Tara, by the way, in my ear. And so the shift now is going to the culture, as we were saying. And so trying to convince the culture at large, like not just win a court battle in which, you get the legal win, but then people still maybe are trying to seek abortions. And like the OBGYN was saying there, that, they're going to keep seeking it. They're stocking up on the abortion pill. So it's a whole
which is
new
just
fight.
Unbelievable. It's a whole new fight. And what the doctor said there that I think is so important, reframing this, and we've heard the pro-life movement talk about this a lot, but as a human rights issue, right? That you're talking about human beings, whether they're in the womb or outside of the womb, these are human beings. And when you start to reframe it that way, it helps people understand that heart issue, what you're really up against in this battle, which is what makes the Dobbs decision so notable, is that for decades, people have been fed language that is not accurate. And language that is not accurate can be very powerful. It dehumanizes, right? It's just a clump of cells. It's not a baby. It's about your rights over the rights of that clump of cells. And so when you reframe it as a human rights issue, things shift. But she said something else, Dan, that I think is really important. 60% of women with a history of abortion would have preferred to give birth. That is very telling. It tells us the majority of women who have had an abortion actually would have preferred, right? They regret it. There's a regret there they wish they hadn't done.
Yeah, 100%. And it really is, because when we look at this issue, look at the arguments that are given to somebody who might be scared because they're pregnant. Maybe they're young, maybe they're, not married, maybe whatever the situation is, one of these crisis pregnancies. And what are they being told when they're, it's okay. It's totally okay to do this. Your life is good. I've seen more celebrities now celebrate their abortions that they had by saying it allowed me to have a career, as if it's not possible to have a child and also a career at the same time. These are lies being told people. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you certainly can do it. It's been done a zillion times before, and you can do it. God will provide for you, and people will provide for you. There's so many people in the pro-life movement who are willing to help, whether it's getting diapers, getting physical, tangible needs for a new mom, whether it's adopting. I mean, Christians adopt so many by the ratio more than any other group. And there's a reason for that, because they value life, because God makes life. And because of that, we're intrinsically made with value in it. There's inherent value there. And so it is an interesting discussion as we go forward, because yes, there's Roe v. Wade, but there's still so much work. I mean, I see so many times, Billy, and I watch a lot. My algorithm feeds me a lot of these interactions that I see between pro-lifers on the street corner, talking to people who are pro-abortion. And it's incredible that the arguments that they bring to the table are so bumper slogan-y, like bumper stickers, right? It's like, well, they should just have a choice. Like, well, should you just have a choice to do anything? Is the choice like the actual inherent value that you should be championing? It's a weird thing. And when they get pressed on it, you can see it fall apart.
Well, it's a weird thing because it's about the culture of the self, the obsession with the self, right? When you think about what the Bible talks about, Ephesians 6, right? The Bible is very clear about the value of life. We can sit here and haggle and debate about this all day long, which is what people love to do. People will try to pull Bible verses out of context and say that somehow it would endorse this idea that people should just be able to choose whether or not to end the life of an unborn baby. But the Bible is clear on this, but it's also clear on what happens when we become lovers of ourselves. And we're human beings and we're sinful. And I think what is really what we all fall prey to is when you start to tell people, hey, you can have all these shiny things, your life will be better, this clump of cells won't hold you down. All those lies, they become really appealing to people because as humans, again, we're prone to sin. And so scripture is very clear on all of that. And I think it just appeals to our carnal nature, which is what makes this such a complicated issue. But you go back to that 60% of women who have had that history of abortion, who wishes they wish they chose otherwise. And so we've got to figure out, though, how do you step up even more to the plate? Because to your point, Dan, this battle that went from a federal battle, I mean, it was always a states battle to a degree. It's now in 50 different states with different laws and you've got 50 battles now. And so I think it's a harder fought battle moving forward than it even was toppling Roe.
Yeah. And you can see so many young people keep coming out to this event, which is, of course, very encouraging as well. And you hope the younger generations are going to turn the tide potentially on this issue. And if you're just joining us, by the way, this is the 2026 March for Life live stream coverage here on CBN News. And the stage presentations, the speakers are going to start here in just a few minutes. We're going to bring that to you live and uninterrupted as the speakers go up. These are they're just showing videos right now as they prepare for that. But there's going to be some big speakers there today. Vice President Vance and Speaker Johnson are among those who will speak today. There's going to be some testimonies, some really powerful personal stories. And the theme this year is Life is a Gift. And like we were saying earlier at the top of the stream, it's a deliberate shift from kind of more of the political messaging to celebrating a human-centered vision of life's value. And so their messaging here is intentionally kind of broad, talking about every life having worth, as we were just talking about, regardless of whatever circumstance, however this life, this young baby came into the world, that life still has value no matter how difficult the circumstances were behind it. And so the march here isn't just going to be about nostalgia, it's about what comes next. And as you said, Billy, state courts and ballot initiatives are now ground zero. Constitutional amendments at the state level, legal battles. I mean, these are the things you can expect to see. Legal battles over parental notification, fights around chemical abortion pills and telemedicine.
Yes. Yeah.
Pro-life advocates say the next decade's about persuasion as well, not just legislation. So they're not going to stop the legislation, still going to do that, but the chemical abortions, I mean, these are the new front lines here on this fight, kind of as you were saying on the state front.
And that's more than half of abortions now are chemical abortions, meaning they're a 2-pill regimen that women will take to end their pregnancy. Now it becomes even harder in some ways, because when you have a situation where you're taking a pill, it's not a procedure or a surgery, you're even more disconnected. It's even easier to have the abortion. And so again, reaching somebody's heart about what is actually happening there with those pills, that is where you will still have federal and state battles, and we've already seen that with the Supreme Court, and we've seen this issue creep up again and again. I don't think we're anywhere near done with that battle, that whether or not these are safe pills, whether or not the FDA has handled this well and how they've labeled them, there's a lot there to still unfold. So I think you're right. And again, it's more than half of abortions are chemical, and that number could even grow.
Yeah. And there's going to be definitely powerful testimonies and stories and moments today at the march, as I was saying, including one probably early on as the national anthem is being led by the Friends of Club 21 Choir, which is made up of young adults with Down syndrome. And these people are a living picture of the message, every life has dignity, ability, and purpose. I mean, these people, the young ones with Down syndrome, are a reminder that, I mean, Billy, how many times have we seen it and reported on it? Abortions are driven by prenatal diagnosis. So not necessarily emergencies, right? You say, oh, you don't want to have a child with Down syndrome. That's bad. And so they kind of persuade them. And I mean, imagine somebody and I'm sure many of you have gone through this, right? You get that news and you get a whole range of emotions going on with that. And then you have a doctor potentially telling you that it's okay to just abort that child. I mean, that is crazy. And especially when you see the joy and the love and the happiness with so many people who have Down syndrome, that another lie that's pushed.
I mean, there are so many lies. And I think, again, that's what makes it challenging. And I think we have to address the elephant in the room here too. Abortions have gone up since Roe v. Wade was overturned, right? So the idea that just getting rid of Roe v. Wade, again, a great thing, was going to solve this, that was never going to solve it. The heart has to coincide with the law. And so you've solved part of the legal problem. And a lot of people thought that could never happen. Now you need to figure out, how do we solve this heart problem? How do we get people to understand what's actually happening here? Because again, the number of abortions, unfortunately, it has gone up since Roe was overturned.
All right, we will talk about that and more on the other side of the stage show. As you can see, the timer is counting down as the speakers will begin to speak. We'll bring that presentation to you on the stage live, uninterrupted. We'll be back afterwards to talk about what we saw. Tara's got interviews. We'll have all of that coming up after. Enjoy this portion of the march.
Hello, pro-life America. epic day. I'm glad you're here. I'm Jenny Bradley Lichter, and it is my great privilege to serve as the president of the March for Life. On behalf of the whole March for Life team, welcome to the 53rd March for Life. Marchers, you are part of the biggest annual human rights demonstration in the world. And you are going to show the world today what the pro-life movement is made of. Every year, we are grateful for the collaborative witness of Orthodox Christian and Roman Catholic bishops in opening our rally in prayer. This show of unity is one of our cherished March for Life traditions. And continuing this proud tradition today, I'm happy to welcome to the podium His Grace Bishop Irenee, leading the delegation of the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops of the United States of America. His Grace is joined on stage by a delegation of Orthodox and Roman Catholic bishops from around the country. Will you please welcome your faith leaders to the stage for a moment of prayer?
Your Excellency, our gracious host, Bishop James Connolly, Your Eminences, Your Excellencies, Your Graces, esteemed hierarchs, Reverend and venerable clergy, monastics and religious, brothers and sisters alike, beloved children. As Christ has taught us, and truly it has come to pass, and now is here. Wherever 2 or 3 have gathered in his name, he will be present. Assembled as such on this very day here in the heart of our nation for the cause of life itself. Let us heed the words of the Holy Fathers of the Church, who teach us whenever we find ourselves confronted by personal and societal conflicts of heart and mind, emotion and intellect, to place our minds in our hearts in order to offer just and proper prayer, asking for strength to pursue justice, love, and mercy, and to walk humbly, seeking God's assistance for fairness and truth, peace and healing. Most beloved, let us therefore bow our heads and lift up our hearts, collectively and individually, offering in earnest a prayer for life. Lord Jesus Christ, only begotten Son of God, begotten of the Father before all ages, without a mother, and incarnate in the flesh of a mother without a father in time, having dwelt in the womb of the ever-Virgin Mary, your most holy and pure mother, we now pray you, look down upon us who have gathered in prayer for those unborn and for the preservation of the life of innocence. As your mother, bearing you in her womb, became the image of the burning bush of old, which, beheld by Moses, burned, yet was never consumed, so also ignite an inexhaustible fire in our hearts, that it may ever burn brightly and never be consumed, that we may offer constant prayer for those conceived in the warmth of their mother's womb, and for their mothers, that they may be enlightened with wisdom and love needed to bear their children, give birth, and nurture them to know life and to worship you, the author and creator of life. Let them be born so that they can breathe the air that we breathe. Let them gaze upon the beauty of creation and behold that which you have sealed with your goodness. Let them hear the birds chirping, let them sense the wind, ruach, that breath manifesting the very presence of the all-holy and life-giving Spirit that bears with it the scent of flowers and the fragrance of this world of life itself. Let them live their lives filled with inspiration and the joy of life, so that they may know that you are the only true God, and in you is the fountain of life. Again, we pray, Lord, for all mothers who now bear these nascent lives, that they may truly understand that life is ordained for eternity. May they gain full awareness of that selfless, unrequited, and foundational maternal love, storgi, tender, nurturing love. For this great gift of love is that of a mother for her child, unconditional, unrepayable, simply existing, which abides within every woman, be it in realization or in potential. Let not any unborn child be severed from such love in its mother's life-sustaining, nurturing body and tender heart. Let not the womb become a tomb. May Rachel never again weep without consolation for her children that are no more. We also pray, as you are in verity the resurrection and the life, for those mothers who will be reconciled in eternity with their little angels, who now pray for their mothers and for their salvation. Lord, bless us all in our sacred mission on behalf of life, and bless this gathering in your holy name. We pray you richly pour forth your blessings on our president and all who are in seats of civil authority. Remember our vice president, who with conviction stands firmly with us on this day. Remember his cherished family, and especially his wife and our second lady, Usha, who now bears to the immense joy of our nation their fourth child. And as we prepare to depart in peace, mindful of your command to be perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect, so also may we strive to be a perfect community of your love. Grant us to reaffirm a society whose culture is based on human dignity, the awareness of your image in humankind, and the realization of your likeness, and thereby the dignity of life itself. For such a culture is a true communion of people who act thoughtfully and strategically, placing their minds in their hearts, ever praising your most honorable and glorious, majestic name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Let us all say collectively, Amen.
All right, hello again. Thank you, Your Grace, for leading us in such a beautiful and heartfelt prayer. Next, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Shantae Mallory and her beautiful daughters. Shantae is a mom of 6 who chose life under difficult circumstances with the help of Mary's Shelter, a maternity home in Virginia. As the founder of Labor, Love, and Care, she now builds systems of care that empower families and communities. After the Pledge of Allegiance, the Friends of Club 21 Choir will lead us in singing our national anthem. This is going to be a real highlight, marchers. Their music is beautiful, and their witness is even more so. Friends of Club 21 is committed to changing perceptions and reminding the world that every individual has God-given rights worth celebrating. They embody our theme, that life is a gift. Please welcome Miss Mallory and her daughters and the Friends of Club 21 Choir.
Hello. Okay, so if you could, put your right hand over your heart for me. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Aren't they amazing? Wow. Life is a gift, friends. Gosh, life is a gift. Thank you, Shantae, for leading our pledge, and thank you to the Friends of Club 21 Choir who came all the way from Colorado to lead us in song today. The Pledge of Allegiance and our beautiful national anthem remind us that we are so blessed to live in a country where our voices matter, where we elect our legislators and our leaders who are then accountable to we, the people, where we have the freedom to peacefully gather right here on federal government property in the middle of the most powerful city in the world and speak out about the most important human rights issue of our time. This year, 2026, marks America's 250th birthday. Specifically, this year we celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which changed the course of human history by powerfully declaring, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Marchers, and especially our young marchers, throughout this year as we celebrate the founding of our beloved country, and you hear a lot about America 250, and we rightfully lift up joyfully all of the blessings that are ours thanks to this nation, never forget that the United States of America was built on the foundation of the right to life. Yes, the right to life has been a core value of our nation from the very beginning. Never forget that you are standing in a great American tradition when you stand up for the right to life like you're doing today. God bless America and all of our freedoms, and we are so thankful for the right to life in this country. But we have work to do to make sure every single human being has the right to live in the United States of America. So we have work to do, friends. Now, yesterday, the White House made several exciting pro-life policy announcements about expanding the Mexico City policy, which prevents taxpayer dollars from funding abortions abroad. We do not want our dollars sent overseas to fund abortions for women overseas. The White House is ending scientific research using aborted fetal tissue. The bodies of little human beings are not scientific material that should be experimented upon. That is ending, thanks to President Trump. And the administration is taking action on Planned Parenthood's illegal receipt of COVID relief funds. We welcome these announcements and we're grateful for them. We'll be hearing a bit more about them later on. But first, it's my honor to share that we have a very special message to you, to the marchers, from our president, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Hello to everyone at the March for Life. For 53 years, students, families, patriots, and believers have come to Washington from every corner of the country to defend the infinite worth and God-given dignity of every human life. In 2026, as we celebrate 250 years since our founding fathers recognized the right to life in our Declaration of Independence, I want to thank every single one of you who was out on this winter day, a beautiful day, but it's winter nevertheless, to stand up for the unborn. 6 years ago, I was proud to be the first president in history to attend this march in person. Since then, we have made unprecedented strides to protect innocent life and support the institution of the family like never before. There's never been anything like it. In my first term, I was honored to appoint judges and justices who believed in interpreting the Constitution as written. That was a big deal. And because of that, the pro-life movement won the greatest victory in its history. Now the work to rebuild a culture that supports life continues in every state, every community, and every part of our beautiful land. This is a battle that must be fought, must be won, not only in the corridors of power, but above all in the hearts and souls of the people. That is why under the Trump administration, we're strongly defending religious liberty. We're bringing back faith in America. We're bringing back God. We have stopped forced taxpayer funding of abortion at home and abroad. We're championing faith-based adoption and foster care and supporting our parents by investing $1,000 into an account that will grow over time for every newborn baby. With your help and support, we will continue to fight at the eternal truth that every child is a gift from God. Thank you, and God bless America.
All right, how about that? Thank you to our president for all of the pro-life victories he's delivered in his first 5 years in office so far. We are looking forward to many more in the next few years. We have some folks here with us today from the president's team in the White House, and I'm asking them to make sure that the president hears of your excitement about and gratitude for his pro-life policies. Can we thank President Trump once more? And now, he stood on this stage last year in his first public appearance after a pretty important day in his life, and he promised he'd return. Well, marchers, today he is keeping that promise. It is my great honor to welcome back to the March for Life stage your Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Good morning, marchers. How we doing? It's great to be with you again. It was my very first speech as Vice President of the United States was the March for Life last year, and I'm proud to be back with much better weather this time around. Now, some of you may remember that in my remarks last year, I told you all one of the things I most wanted in the United States of America was more families and more babies. So let the record show, you have a vice president who practices what he preaches. Usha and I announced this week that we're expecting our fourth. And it will be our third baby boy, so we'll take whatever prayers you can give. We certainly need them. And when I was here last year, I had one other piece of advice for this group, and that was very simple: to be joyful in your advocacy. And looking out at this crowd today, it seems like you took that suggestion very well to heart, because I see joyful people. I see grandmas, I see parents, I see beautiful little kids with incredible green hats. Now, did you all dress like that so that if you lost yourselves, you could find everybody? Okay, that's a good plan. I'm gonna take that advice back home. The theme of this year's March for Life, as most of you all know, is that life is a gift. And I know for me personally, this year there is so much to be thankful for. I'm grateful to my own family, for my beautiful wife, Usha, and that God has given us the miracle of new life again. I'm grateful for this movement, for the truth that is on our side. And frankly, I'm thankful for the technological breakthroughs that have allowed us to affirm and protect life. Things like 3D ultrasounds that didn't exist just a few short decades ago. Things like the new medical technologies that have saved the lives of countless premature babies. But let me today say that I'm especially grateful for all of you, even the ones with Michigan hats, and there are a couple of you out there. For the thousands of men and women and children, for the church groups, the school groups, the grandparents and the toddlers and everyone in between who braved this chilly Washington afternoon. All of us in the Trump administration, from the president on down, we thank you for your prayers, we thank you for your perseverance, and we thank you that for today, we are all marching for life. I know a lot of us heard from the president just before this, so you know that he loves and cares deeply about this movement. And it's why he has fought for the pro-life cause and why we do it in this administration. And it's why 3 years ago, we cannot forget, he delivered and his Supreme Court justices delivered the most important Supreme Court decision of my lifetime. Because with the Dobbs decision, what we did, what the president did, what the Supreme Court did, was put a definitive end to the tyranny of judicial rule on the question of human life. He shattered a 50-year culture of disposability, one that treated human life as expendable the moment that it became inconvenient. And he empowered our nation and our movement to build a culture of life from the grassroots up. And over the last year, I gotta brag a little bit, our administration has worked very hard to lead that effort and to pick up the pieces, to clean up the wreckages of 5 decades of bad policy on the question of life. It's an amazing crowd. Now, our vision is simple. We want life to thrive in the United States of America. We want We want Americans, every American from all walk of life, to have happy, healthy children. And we want them to raise those kids with confidence that their kids are going to do well and grow up in safety and prosperity, that they'll have access to good jobs, great schools, safe streets, and warm houses in which to raise their kids. And we want all of our American families to be able to do it with the confidence that their nation will stand with them just as they have stood with the United States of America. Now, you all know this very well, that building a culture of life requires persuasion. And that's what's so different about this moment compared to the moment that was dominated by the Supreme Court for 50 years. We're not trying to argue to the Supreme Court anymore. We are trying to argue to our fellow citizens that we must build up that culture of life. And as you know, that effort is going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of energy, and it's going to take a little bit of money. And that's why we're here, because you know that. We're marching for life because we want our wonderful fellow Americans, even if they don't disagree with us, to know that life is worthy, it is worthy of protection, and that is why we march today. So let me tell you something very simple. That under this administration, again, from the President of the United States, the Vice President, you have an ally in the White House. Now some of our work over the last year has been very straightforward and very easy. We started by undoing the evils we saw under the previous administration. Like, for example, throwing priests and grandmothers in prison for praying outside a clinic. That's over. We stopped it. Where the previous administration mandated taxpayer funding for abortions, including travel costs across the entire government, this administration ended it. And over the past year, we built steadily upon the victories of the president's first term. We have secured religious freedom in the United States of America once again. That was important. We have ended the censorship of Christians, Jews, and other Americans of faith who are punished simply for following their faith in public life. We have expanded conscience protections for healthcare workers and defended faith-based foster care and adoption. We gutted Biden-era rules and ensured that no nun, no nurse, no pharmacist, and no physician has to check their faith and their values at the door of their workplace. And under the last administration, under President Biden and Congressional Democrats, the power of government, we know, was marshaled against us, against our faith, against our families, and most importantly, against the most vulnerable. That stopped with the Trump administration, and it is not coming back. Just this week, we took action to force Illinois into compliance with the Weldon Amendment and stop making healthcare providers refer for abortions. That was a big one. And as the president knows better than anybody, if we want to convince more Americans to choose life, we must also choose policies that make family life possible. So we've done that as well. With the Trump accounts, we started at the very beginning of life, investing in every new American child from day one onward. We've stood with parents by boosting the child tax credit as well, because no family should be penalized for choosing to have kids. In fact, we ought to be rewarding for families for choosing to have kids. And when Usha and I were having the debate about whether we were going to have a fourth kid, I said, honey, we've got an expanded child tax credit and we've got the Trump accounts. We got to take advantage of this stuff. We're restoring homeownership for real families, and you may not think this is connected to the pro-life cause, But when we ensure that real families, moms and dads, instead of Wall Street, have access to American homes, we help create that important culture of life. And the thing that I'm perhaps the most proud of is that we have been responsible stewards of your tax dollars on this question of life. And so, just yesterday, this administration launched fraud investigations into Planned Parenthood affiliates. For millions of dollars in PPP loans that were unlawfully received and unlawfully forgiven by the Biden administration. You should not be able to commit fraud and use taxpayer money for abortion. It's that simple. At many of our departments, we've reinstated a ban on the use of fetal tissue in federal research. That's another big one. And this is something we're so proud of. We're returning accountability to our foreign policy as well. Under Joe Biden, it was the policy of the United States to export abortion and radical gender ideology all around the world. That is what they did with your tax money. They would relentlessly bully developing countries into parroting their far-left views. But under President Trump's leadership and with our great Secretary of State, we believe that every country in the world has the duty to protect life. And that it's not our job as the United States of America to promote radical gender ideology. It's our job to promote families and human flourishing. Now that's why we've completely realigned U.S. foreign aid and turned off the tap for NGOs whose sole purpose is to dissuade people from having kids. It's why we rejoined the Geneva Consensus Declaration to promote maternal health and strong families all over the world. And it's why we speak up when other nations throw pro-life and pro-family advocates in prison for silent prayer, which we've seen way too much, but it's got to stop. And today, our administration is proud to announce a historic expansion of the Mexico City policy. We're going to start blocking every international GO that performs or promotes abortion abroad from receiving $1 of U.S. money. Now, we're expanding this policy to protect life, to combat DEI, and the radical gender ideologies that prey on our children. And with these additions, the rule will now cover every non-military foreign assistance that America sends. All in all, we have expanded the Mexico City policy about 3 times as big as it was before, and we're proud of it because we believe in fighting for life. And a lot of you may know that under the Biden administration, they used Medicaid and other programs to launder your tax dollars into abortion money all over the United States of America. And with the help of our Republican majorities in Congress, with the Working Families Tax Cuts, we stopped that practice once and for all. It's illegal now, exactly as it should be. Let me just say, my friends, that we have to be clear. We cannot be neutral. Our country cannot be indifferent about whether its next generations live or die. Because, think about it, what ultimately gives meaning and life to the United States of America, this is not a new question. Every civilization has been forced to answer it. You march today, we march today, because you have an answer to this question about what kind of civilization we are, and about what kind of civilization we're going to become in the future. I read an article some time ago. It was about classic archaeology, of all things. And one particular piece of information has haunted me. that one of the telltale signs of an ancient brothel in the pagan world was that you'd always find a large number of baby skeletons nearby. A lot of baby skeletons. And those bones predominantly belonged to boys. Because unlike little girls, those boys would be of no use to the future adults who were running those brothels. Now, this is shocking to us because we grew up in a Christian culture and were formed by religious values. Even those of us who aren't particularly faithful, it's a shocking thing to hear. But we have to remember that in the ancient pagan world, discarding children was routine. From the skeletons in brothels to the child sacrifice of the Mayans, the mark of barbarism is that we treat babies like inconveniences to be discarded rather than the blessings to cherish that they are. But the inheritance of our civilization is something else. The fact that, as Scripture tells us, each life is fearfully and wonderfully made by our Creator. The March for Life, my friends, it's not just about a political issue as important as all this politics stuff is. It is about whether we will remain a civilization under God, or whether we ultimately return to the paganism that dominated the past. Today, the far left in this country tells our young people that marriage and children are obstacles, that it's irresponsible, even immoral because of climate change or some other reason, to encourage our young people to raise a family. They tell us that life itself is a burden, but we here at this march, we know that it's a lie. We know that life is a gift. We know that babies are precious because we know them and we love them and we see the way that they can transform our families. We know that family is not just the source of a great joy, but is part of God's design for men and women, a design that extends outward from the family to our neighborhoods, to our communities, and to the United States of America itself. And we here know, that treating everyone with dignity isn't always easy. It's not always convenient, but it's the right thing to do. We know that the people telling our young men and women that discarding family and children is a form of liberation, we know that those people are telling a lie. And so, to our fellow Americans, we march in part to serve as a witness. To our fellow Americans, we say, you're never going to find great meaning in a cubicle or in front of a computer screen, but you will find great meaning if you dedicate yourself to the creation and sustenance of human life. Now, I must address an elephant in the room, and I've heard the guy over here talking about it. A fear that some of you have that not enough progress has been made, that not enough has happened in the political arena, that we're not going fast enough, that our politics have failed to answer the clarion call to life that this march represents and that all of us, I believe, hold in our hearts. And I want you to know that I hear you and that I understand. There will inevitably be debates within this movement. We love each other, but we're going to have open conversations about how best to use our political system to advance life, how prudential we must be in the cause of advancing human life. I think these are good, honest, and natural debates. And frankly, they're not just good for all of you, they help keep people like me honest, and that's an important thing. But I think all of us also have to remember that we are commanded to let not our hearts be troubled. Because I look at this crowd and I see young people for whom Dobbs is the only world they've ever known. And I see people with just a little bit more gray in their hair who for 50 years toiled to live in a country where questions of life would be answered by we the people rather than tyrants in robes. All of us have heard their stories. They've heard of the movement betrayed, of taking one step forward and then 2 steps back and then 3 steps forward after that. They know stories of heartbreak and of triumph. Some of them I've known very personally from ballot issues that I fought very hard for, some of which have gone the right way and some of which have gone the wrong way. And I remember friends of mine who spent their entire lives fighting for the unborn without ever seeing the victories that have accumulated in recent years. My friends, I'd ask you to look where the fight for life stood just 1 decade ago. And now, look where it stands today. We have made tremendous strides over the last year, and we're going to continue to make strides over the next 3 years to come. But I'm a realist. I know that there is still much road ahead to travel together. Take heart in how far we've come, but don't lose sight of why we march. And so long as you are out there marching for life, I hope you know that the Vice President of the United States will march with you. God bless you all, and thanks for having me. With us today. Mr. Vice President, thank you for standing with the pro-life movement and for your inspiring remarks. On behalf of our marchers, congratulations again to you and the Second Lady on your baby on the way. Joining me now on stage are courageous pro-life leaders and members of the United States Congress. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank each one of them for standing with us today and for their crucial work protecting babies and supporting moms. We are joined today by Congressman Andy Harris from Maryland, close to a hometown congressman here where we stand, Congressman Michael Cloud from Texas, Congressman John McGuire from Virginia, Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach, Minnesota, Congressman William Timmons from South Carolina, Congressman Robert Adderholt from Alabama, Congressman Andrew Clyde from Georgia, Congressman Bob Onder from Missouri. Got some Missourians here. Congressman Tim Walberg from Michigan. Congresswoman Kat Cammack from Florida. Congressman Dan Crenshaw from Texas. Congressman Dan Muser from Pennsylvania. Congressman Bill Huizenga from Michigan. Congressman Glenn Grothman from Wisconsin. Congressman French Hill from Arkansas. And Congressman Mike Kennedy from Utah. Thank you all for standing with us today. We are honored to be joined by these elected leaders who are fighting for life on behalf of all of you on Capitol Hill. And now I am thrilled to welcome to the podium 2 incredibly dedicated pro-life champions in Congress. The Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson.
House Representative Chris Smith. Speaker Mike Johnson is a Republican member of Congress, proudly serving Louisiana's 4th District. You have some friends out there. He's a dedicated husband and father, an attorney, and has devoted his life to fighting for the fundamental freedoms and traditional values of the United States. His leadership has been indispensable for the cause of life, especially last summer when he led the House of Representatives to vote to defund Planned Parenthood. Marchers that would not have happened without Speaker Mike Johnson. We also were so blessed last year to hear your personal testimony, Mr. Speaker, about your parents choosing life when they were expecting you. So thank you for returning. After him, we'll hear from Congressman Chris Smith, who represents New Jersey's 4th District and has chaired the Congressional Pro-Life Caucus for over 4 decades, longer than many of you have been alive, tirelessly working on behalf of the unborn and their mothers. He has also spoken at every March for Life for decades as a devoted friend to the cause of life. Following Speaker Johnson and Congressman Smith, we'll watch a video greeting from Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who is out of town today but wanted to be with you in spirit, another dedicated advocate for the unborn. Now, please help me give a warm welcome to Speaker Johnson and Congressman Chris Smith.
Wow, thanks so much. What a great crowd, and right on the verge of a polar vortex. Your commitment is greatly appreciated. I want to congratulate my friend JD for the big announcement on the baby that's due in July. I told him backstage. My wife Kelly's with me. Kelly, raise your hand. My wife Kelly. We have 4 children as well. We all celebrate life in word and in deed, and we're so glad that you are here to prove that. This is an important weekend. It always is, because we welcome the opportunity to recommit ourselves to this cause of life and to remember why it is we gather in March in the cold weather. It's important for us to stand together. And my friends, it's especially important this year because, as you know, this is the year we celebrate our nation's 250th birthday, the greatest nation in the history of the world. The thing that we celebrate about America, there's so much for which we are blessed and we're thankful for, but the thing that we remember, especially at this time, is the foundational truth of America, the bold statement of faith that set this experiment in self-governance, this independent country along its way. We celebrate the self-evident truth that all people, every single person is made by God. We are made by our Creator. Yes. The founders understood that we are made in the image of our Creator and that He is the one that gives us our inalienable rights, the rights to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Our rights do not derive from the government. They derive from God Himself, and we need to remind everybody of that. We celebrate that premise here today and every day because we understand that is what makes America unique and special, the idea that we are made in the image of God, and we owe our responsibility to Him as well, and we have to exercise that freedom in a responsible manner. This moment is truly an historic one for the pro-life movement, and you all know that. For the first time since Roe v. Wade was reversed, we have the White House, the Senate, and the House all working together to deliver meaningful and historic pro-life victories. And just consider, as the Vice President was saying just a moment ago, just consider what 1 year of common sense pro-life leadership can actually accomplish. With President Trump and Vice President Vance, the Republican team is making and taking a new approach. For the first time, our greatest metric of success is not just the size of the gross domestic product or highs in the stock market. It is the strength of the American family again. That's what we've brought back. We measure our success on the number of lives we save and the lives we improve and uplift with common sense, life-affirming policies. It's you, my friends, who will help us to usher in America's new golden age, as President Trump says. And as Vice President said here, Republicans are working hard to deliver on the mandate that you gave us in the last election to to make it easier than ever before to raise a family in this great country of ours. And because we know that support for American families doesn't end at birth, our policies reflect this. With the Working Families Tax Cuts, for example, we passed the most pro-life and pro-family legislation that has been signed into law in decades, and we did it on July 4th last year. We worked hard, this group of legislators behind me and all of our colleagues, we worked hard to expand the child tax credit, to enhance the adoption tax credit, and we launched the first of its kind Trump investment accounts for every newborn in America. Thanks to this bill, we also delivered the largest middle and working class tax cuts in the history of this country. And yeah, that's right, worthy of applause. We put more money in your pocket, and you can decide what's best for your family instead of government bureaucrats. We also achieved something that is totally unprecedented, and it was mentioned a little bit earlier, and we should say it again. For years now, we know that Medicaid funds have skirted the essential protections under the Hyde Amendment and funneled tax dollars to abortion providers. And we said no more. And in the Working Families Tax Cut, the big, beautiful bill, for the first time ever, we finally defunded big abortion, and it was a long time coming. We stand here today with one united voice to affirm the federal government should not be subsidizing any industry that profits from the elimination of human life. And today I'm so proud to stand along so many principal leaders here in Congress. You heard their names. They helped us achieve these victories. Chris Smith, as was said, for 4 decades has been leading the pro-life caucus in Congress. Just this week, Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach, Michelle, raise your hand. She introduced, She introduced her bill, ensuring federal assistance can be used to support pregnancy resource centers across the country. That's a big thing. We know how important those centers are to give hundreds of thousands of pregnant women and moms a choice in the care they receive. Another warrior, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, passed her bill, the Pregnant Students' Rights Act, which equips young women finishing their education with the resources they need to choose life. I could go on and on, yes. I could be up here all day telling you about all of the things that are being done, but you need to know, in summary, that we are fulfilling our promises. And that promise that is central to what we stand for is to protect the sanctity of human life. We contend these warriors, and I tell you what, in the election cycle coming up this year, we're going to send some more pro-life champions here to Congress. I just want to close with this. It was mentioned earlier that we all have a reason that we march. We all have a reason that we believe so strongly in this principle, and my life story is that one. And in 2 sentences, I was the product of an unplanned teen pregnancy, exactly 1 year before Roe in January of 1972. And a lot of people try to convince my very young parents that they should just take care of that problem. But I am eternally grateful that they allowed me the chance at life. I think of the millions of children that did not have that same opportunity. And every single child deserves the opportunity to fulfill their God-given potential. And it is up to us to defend that freedom and that right, that essential freedom to be born, the unalienable right to life that is imperiled in our generation. We're so grateful that you are willing to march and stand and speak for that issue. I'm happy to say that all this is changing because of you. And despite the special interests that fund abortion, and despite the voices that tell you to look away from the beating heart, and despite all those who continue to deny the truth, you are here, and we are here, and we stand together for life. We're so grateful for all that you do. Every single one of you has the power to change hearts and minds and ultimately to save lives, and we can never forget that, and I know that you want. I want to thank you all for coming out, braving the cold and the weather that's on the way. It's worth it. We're going to save lives together. God bless you all. May God bless the United States of America.
We have an amazing speaker. He's strong, he's lion-hearted, he's got a heart of gold as well. And does he ever lead effectively, especially now that we have such a narrow majority? He's just amazing. Steve Scalise, a great majority leader. We have a leadership that is second to none. I've been here since Ronald Reagan's first election, 1981. And I can tell you, this leadership is the most pro-life, so committed, and behind me are just absolute heroes, men and women who take up the fight every single day. You know, Michelle Fishbach's bill that passed this week to help pregnancy care centers, only one Democrat voted for it. And the debate, if you go back and watch it on C-SPAN, was disgusting as the pregnancy care centers were smeared by the Democrats who were leading the charge against it. Of course, Michelle stood strongly against it and did an amazing job, and we did secure its passage. Let me just say very briefly, my dear wife Marie and I, more than 50 years ago, met in the pro-life movement. And today, like you, we are more committed, hope-filled, determined, and let me add, more impatient than ever to see life celebrated as a gift from God. With indomitable faith, compassion, and tenacity, and all of you I know are doing this, we must today recommit to protecting the weakest and the most vulnerable. As Mike meant, as the speaker has indicated and others before, more than 2,700 pregnancy care resource centers throughout the U.S. are helping women choose life. And each and every one of those centers is an oasis of love, empathy, compassion, and they have helped so many women, both during the pregnancy and afterwards, as well as the families. Yet, all over the country, especially in my state of New Jersey, there's an all-out effort to shut them down, which is outrageous. The smears that are being borne by the pregnancy care center community are unconscionable, and we need to push back as never before to protect them. Let me remind everybody that the Knights of Columbus did another Marist poll, and it did find that 84% of Americans, including 75% of Democrats, support pregnancy care centers. Let me just say briefly, and I know you know this, and I hope the media takes more note of it as this day and these days go on, but the purveyors of death and their enablers in politics and academia and elsewhere aggressively foster a culture of death, and they do employ a seemingly endless array of deceitful tactics, often the big lie, to trivialize and mask the cruelty of abortion. The abortion pill, mifepristone, is baby poison that kills the unborn child by starving the baby girl or the baby boy to death. That's how it works. Starvation, a pill to starve another human being. We now know that the abortion pill, we've long suspected this, is extremely dangerous to women. And I ask the media, investigative reporters, start uncovering or get rid of this cover-up that we've had since the Clinton administration. The Ethics in Public Policy Center released a historic report that found that, called The Abortion Pill Harms Women, and they found that over 10% of all women who take that pill have very serious adverse events because of it, including sepsis and hemorrhaging. FDA says it's 0.5%. Those numbers were cooked up by previous Obama and, of course, the Clinton and then into the Biden administration. That's got to stop. We've got to unmask this herder, this killer of women, as well as the adverse effect it's having. Let me just conclude. And you heard it from our vice president so eloquently in his remarks, but President Trump's new comprehensive Protecting Life in Foreign Assistance, also known as the Mexico City policy, and as you know, it got its name because Reagan sent a delegation to a UN conference in Mexico City, and at that, Senator James Buckley and others announced this tremendous policy of no longer supporting any organization that promotes or supports abortion. And then, though, it only applied to family planning, about $500 million. Trump, in his first term, put all global health under that. That was about $9 billion. And today, he's putting all foreign assistance, about $30 billion, under the Mexico City provisions. And that means that the Planned Parenthoods, the Marie Stopes Internationals, and all of these other hideous groups that kill babies, promote the killing of babies, every day of the week. They do it here in Washington, they do it in foreign capitals, are defunded by this administration. Each and every day, my friends, and I conclude, thanks to your efforts and your prayers, many unborn children and their mothers have been, are being, and will be protected. We know that the injustice of abortion need not be forever. God bless you, everyone.
Hello, marchers. I'm very sorry I couldn't be with you all today, but I wanted to send my greetings. My greetings and my gratitude to all of you for making your way to D.C. from every corner of the country to stand up for the right to life. You are here today to witness the great truth that every human being, no matter how small or vulnerable, is infinitely valuable, created in the image of God. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, the Lord says in Jeremiah. Before you were born, I set you apart. Abortion is an evil that's too often brushed to the side. But you all are ensuring that we don't brush it aside. And I am proud to stand with you. And I am very proud to be able to say to you today that in 2025, for the first time ever, Congress defunded big abortion. With the working families tax cuts, Congress enacted the first pro-life law in decades. And thanks to that landmark legislation, this year some of the nation's largest abortion providers, including Planned Parenthood, are prohibited from receiving Medicaid funding. The organizations that have turned the killing of babies into a business are cut off. Next week, we'll be considering legislation to ensure that pregnant college students have access to the support that they need to carry their baby to term and to care for their child. And I pledge to you that as Majority Leader of the United States Senate, I and my pro-life colleagues will continue to do everything we can in Congress to support moms and protect preborn children. We may not always be successful, but we will never stop trying. Thank you all for being at the march today, and God bless you all as you stand up for the great gift of human life.
Thank you, Speaker Johnson and Congressman Smith, and we're grateful to Leader Thune for his remarks as well. Marchers, we are at a crucial moment for the cause of life on Capitol Hill. Just this week, the House of Representatives passed 2 bills that strengthen support for women, babies, and families, helping ensure that they are better equipped to choose life. Our thanks to the House for passing the Pregnant Students' Rights Act, which ensures that college women who are pregnant have support that they deserve from their universities. And the Supporting Pregnant and Parenting Women and Families Act. Thanks again to our members for those important votes. But now, we have a lot more work to do. So now, today, marchers, you have an opportunity to contact your senators who are right in the middle of debates and discussions about health care in America, and ask them to ensure that any and all government funding for health care, whether that's funding for insurance coverage or funding directly to consumers, is protected by the long-standing Hyde Amendment. In other words, no taxpayer dollars should be used to pay for abortions, including through any form of insurance coverage for abortion. If Hyde is not included, there should be no health care deal. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I know your fingers are cold, but pull out your cell phone right now. Take your gloves off if you have to. I know some of you are young enough that you don't carry cell phones, and that's fine. You have an exemption, but everyone else, can you pull out your cell phone and hold it up so I can see it? All right, good. I see a lot of phones here. All right, so here's what you're going to do. Text MARCH to 73075. You'll be taken directly to a platform where you can send a message to your senator that you want them to support the Hyde Amendment and reject any health care proposal that would allow taxpayer dollars to be used for abortions or insurance coverage of abortions. This is really important and extremely timely. I'm sure you've been reading about this in the news quite a bit lately. So let's let your senators hear the voices of Marchers for Life today. Open your texting app, type MARCH, M-A-R-C-H, and send it to 73075. Can you hold up your phone once you've done that? Yes, look at all of that strong advocacy out there. March to 73075 to be a voice for the voiceless. Together, we will send a powerful message to your senators that we want them to stand firm and be courageous for life. Thank you, marchers, for your engagement on this important issue. You will make a difference. Now I'd like to welcome some very special guests to the stage. All right. Since we're, hi, honey. Since we're all spending some quality time together today, I thought we should take a minute to get to know each other a little bit better, shall we? All right, so I'll go first. I'm Jenny, your MC. Marchers, I am you. I have been marching, standing out in that rally crowd since I was 18 years old. I know what it took for you all to be here. I know how far many of you drove, how much you sacrificed to be here, how many of you probably didn't sleep that well last night because you slept on a bus or on a floor somewhere. And I know how cold you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is my family.
Waybridge.
They work and pray and sacrifice alongside me because they love the March for Life too, and they believe so deeply in the preciousness of every baby in the womb. My kids have grown up as marchers, and they are thrilled to see you all here today. All right, now it's your turn. If this is your first National March for Life, could you please make some noise? Can we all welcome our first-time marchers? Welcome to the March for Life, friends. Welcome. Okay, this is going to be like the elimination dance at weddings. If you have been to the March for Life more than 5 times, can you raise your hands and make some noise? Thank you to our veteran marchers. Where are my high schoolers? Do we have any high school students here? Thank you, high school students, for bringing your amazing energy. You lift all of us up. Where are our college marchers? You all have a special place in my heart because I first marched with my college group. Go Irish.
Hello to all of the kids that are here today.
Thanks, honey. If it took you longer than 5 hours to get here, can you please shout? Did anyone travel? Wow. Is there anyone here who traveled for 10 hours or more to come to DC for the March for Life? Wow. You all are so inspiring. There is no other cause, no other mission that brings people together like the March for Life and the pro-life community. Thank you all for your dedication to being here together. I hope you are finding deep encouragement from seeing who you're standing among. Thank you. I'm going to let them leave the stage because the kids want a snack. Thanks, guys. Okay. All right, that was fun. And it was also really important. I wanted you all to hear each other, to get some sense of how big and dedicated and diverse and multi-generational and pan-geographical this crowd is, because I know that you all can't see each other. But I can see you all, and let me tell you, there are a lot of people here today. I cannot even see the end of this crowd from where I'm standing. Marchers, you are part of something really big. And I mean that literally, but I also mean it metaphorically, culturally, historically. You are part of something bigger than yourself and your group, bigger even than just this day and this year. Whether this is your first march, like so many of you, or you're a seasoned veteran, you are making history by being part of the world's largest annual human rights demonstration, standing up for the very least among us. Now, today is the 53rd March for Life. We celebrate that longevity and the great tradition that we are privileged to be a part of. We truly stand on the shoulders of so many giants and so many saints in this fight for life. But we also know, 50 is the new 60 and all of that. Maybe it's the other way, 50 is the new, no, and I think I had it right. We also know that the March for Life and the pro-life mission never age, right? This cause is ageless and it never goes out of style. Our mission is as fresh and important as the gift of life itself. When we think back on those 53 years, millions and millions of Americans have stood in this place and marched for life over the course of those years. Hundreds of speakers have stood on this stage. Some of them have been very high profile. We've been joined over the years by incredibly inspiring political and cultural leaders, and we've been joined again today by awesome, impactful speakers, and we have more in store for you. We're so grateful for their witness. But marchers, I want to say to you that over the course of the past 53 years, it actually isn't the people standing on this stage who have made the March for Life so powerful. It isn't the speakers who have kept up the incredible momentum that brought down Roe versus Wade, and it isn't just the people on this stage who continue to change hearts and minds for life. It is you. It is you, the marchers. You are what make the March for Life so powerful. You are the story that needs to be told, and we have a lot of members of the media here today who I hope will tell this story. Your witness, your persistence, your determination, your energy, your unflagging, unfailing hope, your love for the littlest ones and for moms who need a hand, your joy, and of course the sheer number of you who are here, year after year after year. There is nothing in the world like the March for Life. By being here, you are part of something that has changed the course of history in our nation, saved so many lives, and moved countless hearts. Young people, our high school and college marchers, you are the heart of the March for Life and the pro-life movement. Young people, your generation is the tipping point. You are sending a message by being here to our political and cultural leaders and the whole nation that they need to sit up and pay attention because the rising generation demands protection for the unborn. That's right, let them hear you. Polls show that pro-life support is surging among young adults. Your peers, young adults 18 to 29, have been surging upward in terms of identifying as pro-life, and the percentage of young adults who think abortion should be legal under any circumstances has plummeted. You are doing that, young people. Keep evangelizing your classmates, your friends, your siblings, your teammates. Keep sharing the truth about the preciousness of every human life. The fight to end abortion is serious business, no doubt about it. But we go about that business with peace, confidence, and the overspilling joy that's on display here today, because all of this is rooted in our deep conviction that life is a gift. Life is true. Life is true, life is beautiful, and life is so, so good. No matter the circumstances, life is a gift. Marchers, that's our theme today. That's the banner under which we're marching for today's 53rd Annual March for Life. Life is a gift. Please enjoy our theme video for this year.
Life is why we march, with joy, with conviction, with purpose. Because life, all life, is a gift. But before the cheering crowds, the homemade signs, and the celebration, It all starts with a heartbeat, a single moment that changes everything. A precious little gift, not wrapped in paper or tied with a ribbon, but full of promise. Every life is a gift, even when it's unexpected, even when the timing feels off, even when it's hard, even when the world says otherwise. We have been marching for over 50 years, and we will still march on. Because the world needs to hear that every single human life is precious, and because our heritage as Americans includes the right to life. We march as heirs of a legacy of courage, hope, and joy, and on behalf of generations yet to come. We march because life is beautiful, unrepeatable, and perfectly unique. Life is worth protecting and worth celebrating. We march to be the voice for the voiceless. All life deserves a chance, because every single life is a gift.
Now I am pleased to introduce to you Miss Elizabeth Oliver, President of Georgetown University Right to Life. Georgetown Right to Life and its growth in the past few years is a perfect example of the surging pro-life sentiment of Gen Z, and we're delighted that they are carrying the March for Life banner this year. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Elizabeth Oliver.
When I was a little girl, my dad would often tell me the story of Saint Joan of Arc. I loved hearing about her courage, her leadership, and the great white banner she carried into battle. Years later, standing outside a Planned Parenthood in high school, I began to understand which banner I was called to carry, the banner for life. Overshadowed by a bleak building and angry voices, wondering whether I could really make a difference, I often recalled the words that Joan of Arc said when she doubted herself. I am not afraid. I was born to do this. This year, that banner for life has become real, as Georgetown University has the honor of carrying the official March for Life banner. It's an honor because it takes great courage to champion the truth about abortion, especially when that truth isn't popular. The truth is, we are all called to carry this banner. But courage without kindness doesn't go very far. Truth spoken harshly usually goes unheard. Truth spoken with charity, however, invites the listener to hear. I always tell new members of Georgetown Right to Life that the most important thing we do isn't hosting events with famous speakers on a big stage. It's sitting behind a fold-up table in Red Square, the very heart of our Jesuit campus. That takes courage. While tabling, our members never know whether they'll receive a supportive thumbs up or middle finger, or simply the painful indifference of the many people who are just too busy to care. But I've also seen that small table become, all in one busy afternoon, a resource center for pregnant students, an intellectual battleground, and a gathering place for our community. Pro tip, offer free munchkins, and suddenly everybody has very strong opinions. After countless conversations, I've learned the best way to start isn't with an argument, it's with a question. Why are you pro-choice? Listening, really listening, is an act of kindness. And it's through kindness itself that people begin to see what the pro-life movement truly is. It is about affirming a truth that is so obvious that it is tragically easy to miss, that life is a gift. You won't always change minds right away, but hearts do soften. I've seen it happen. 4 years ago, a pro-choice friend and I began talking about abortion and how it affects women. She was shocked to learn that 1/3 of Gen Z has been aborted. Yet, she still argued vehemently that they are only clumps of cells. Just this year, after becoming an EMT and learning about the realities of pregnancy and the violence of abortion, she told me she is now strongly pro-life. I didn't change her heart. All I did was plant the seeds. It was God who did the rest. So don't be afraid to speak. Speak with courage, speak with kindness, and above all, speak the truth. You were born for this. This is why we march for life. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, marchers, I now have something very special for you. It's my honor to share with you a heartfelt greeting from a great American and a former Marcher for Life who works overseas and so isn't able to be here in person today. Marchers, you have received a pontifical message from the Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV. Our understanding is that Pope Leo came to one of the very earliest marches for life here in Washington when he was a college student. He marched for life as a bishop in Peru. And here's what he has to say to all of you today. To the participants in the 2026 March for Life, I send warm greetings to those of you participating in the 2026 March for Life. I likewise express heartfelt appreciation and assure you of my spiritual closeness as you gather for this eloquent public witness to affirm that the protection of the right to life constitutes the indispensable foundation of every other human right. Indeed, a society is healthy and truly progresses only when it safeguards the sanctity of human life and works actively to promote it. In this regard, I would encourage you, especially the young people, to continue striving to ensure that life is respected in all of its stages through appropriate efforts at every level of society, including dialogue with civil and political leaders. May Jesus, who promised to be with us always, accompany you today as you courageously and peacefully march on behalf of unborn children. By advocating for them, please know that you are fulfilling the Lord's command to serve him in the least of our brothers and sisters. With these sentiments, I entrust all of you, as well as those who support you with their prayers and sacrifices, to the intercession of Mary Immaculate, patroness of the United States of America, and I gladly impart my apostolic blessing as a pledge of abundant heavenly graces. Thank you to Pope Leo for such an inspiring and encouraging message from a former college marcher. Just amazing. We'll hear next from two incredibly inspiring women. First will be Debbie Bisky, CEO of Options for Her, a pregnancy resource center in New Jersey. I had the chance to visit Options for Her this fall, and I was so impressed by what they do and how they do it, saving so many little lives with deep love for moms. Following Debbie, Sarah Herm, a mother of 4 from Iowa, will share her courageous testimony. She has an incredible story of choosing life that I can't wait for you to hear. I don't want to give anything away, so I'll let Sarah tell you the rest. Please help me welcome to the stage Debbie Bisky and Sarah Herm.
Good afternoon, friends. It is truly an honor to stand here with you today among thousands who believe that every life matters, that every baby deserves a chance, and that every woman deserves truth, dignity, and real support. My name is Debbie Bisky, and for nearly 10 years, I have had the privilege of serving women and saving lives at pregnancy resource centers. Today, I lead Options for Her, an organization devoted to helping women choose life and empowering them to become strong and confident mothers. At Options for Her, we serve women at 3 locations throughout New Jersey, in a state where many of our government leaders are hostile toward pro-life cause, and even in some cases, the work of pregnancy centers, specifically First Choice. We provide places of safety, places where women are met with no judgment, but with compassion, honesty, hope, and a future. Not only that, they are also met with real-world help and support. But we also know this: many women will never walk through the doors of a pregnancy center. That is why God has allowed us to bring the centers to them. Since May of 2020, we have used Save the Stork's mobile medical units, where over 3,500 babies have been saved in New Jersey. That's right, let that sink in, 3,500 lives. Children who are alive today because a mobile medical unit showed up at exactly the right moment. Today, Options for Her operates 2 mobile medical units with plans for a third to start operating soon. And these units are on the front lines of the abortion battle every single day. That's right. Our mobile units park outside abortion facilities and enter the space where fear, pressure, and confusion are overwhelming women. These women are often abortion-minded. They have been told lies that abortion is their only option. They are not strong enough and their future is over. And then our mobile medical unit shows up. Inside that medical mobile unit, everything changes. Women are met with truth. They are given education. They are shown ultrasound images of their baby. And most importantly, they are reminded that God created them with purpose and they are empowered. When a woman sees her baby and hears that heartbeat for the first time, it is often the first time that she can view her situation from a different perspective. Often that moment can change her entire future, not to mention the child's future. This is what I have learned after a decade of doing this work. When women are empowered with truth, hearts change. When hearts change, perspective changes. And when perspective changes, the world changes, getting us one step closer to living in a nation where abortion is absolutely unthinkable. Saving babies begin by loving women well and sacrificing our lives to support them during their time of uncertainty. At Options for Her and other pregnancy resource centers across the nation, we do not stop once a woman chooses life. We walk with her through the pregnancy, after her baby is born, and as long as it takes. We provide ongoing support, material assistance, parenting education, counseling, and practical resources. We help her grow in confidence and in strength. We help her discover that motherhood is not a limitation, but a call filling with purpose and dignity. And above all, we point her to God. Because real empowerment does not just come from cultural conversations and political debates. It comes from knowing who you are and to whom you belong to. We have watched women who once felt broken, ashamed, and afraid become amazing mothers. Women filled with courage, integrity, and hope. Women who say, I didn't think I could do this, but now I know I can. And now they want to help other women. That is pregnancy center work, and ultimately that is God's work. As we stand here today at the March for Life, let us remember the pro-life movement is not just about opposing abortion. It is about standing for life in all its beauty. We stand for babies. We stand for women. We stand for families. We stand for truth. And we stand for the God who is the author of life. Together, through faith, action, prayer, and courage, we will continue to see lives saved, women empowered, and generations transformed. Thank you for standing for life. Thank you for marching for life. And thank you for believing that truth, love, and God still absolutely change the world. God bless you.
name is Sarah Herm, and I'm here today as living proof of the theme that life is a gift. I know this because I have seen it, held it, and fought for it by protecting and caring for each of my 4 children. When I discovered I was pregnant with my 4th child, the father told me I wasn't ready, and his harsh, judgmental words made me feel trapped and alone. He said, 26 years old, 4 kids, 3 different dads, that doesn't look good. His words drove me to call the abortion facility. I was seeking guidance and asked for counseling, but was told that they didn't offer any. My only choice was to schedule an abortion and pay them, so that's what I did. It was a chemical abortion. Before I was given the pills, one of the workers said something during the ultrasound that I will never forget. She said, "You're lucky the heartbeat bill hadn't passed, because if it had, we wouldn't be able to continue. We detect a strong heartbeat." These words should remind us all that our work in the pro-life movement has real impact. The laws that we advocate for have immense power to save lives and support women. In that moment, in that cold, sterile abortion facility, I took the first drug of the chemical abortion protocol, leaving with a brown bag containing more pills for later. As soon as I walked out of the facility, it was as if the world went from dark gray to bright blue. The clinic had felt lifeless. Outside, I felt life again. That sharp contrast between darkness and light made me feel something I will never forget. I instantly began to regret my decision, and I broke down in my car. I continued to try and go about my day, but I couldn't even so much as look in my children's faces without thinking about the child within me. So I started to search. I stumbled upon a hotline number for the abortion pill reversal. A woman with a warm, helpful voice answered the phone. I realized then that I wasn't alone, I wasn't without options, and I could fight for my child's life, and so I did. I met a doctor and a team who gave me care, guidance, love, and most of all, hope. Exactly what I was needing, which was far different from the abortion clinic, which had treated me like a transaction. I was able to reverse the chemical abortion I began. My son was born completely healthy on January 11th, 2019. And he continues to thrive. Many people falsely claim that abortion pill reversal doesn't work. Some states are advancing laws that make it harder for doctors to administer abortion pill reversal. Most women now don't even have to go to a medical facility like I did. They are given abortion pills to be taken at home, alone, a highly dangerous act that can prove fatal not only for their unborn babies, but for these women. I am here to tell you that the abortion pill reversal can work. My life and the life of my son is living proof. Today, my son is one of the greatest joys of my life. Here's what I want you to know. Saving a life can be as simple as answering a phone call, driving a friend to an ultrasound, or helping her pick out a car seat. Or you can also show up in any little moment. Small sacrifices can become enormous victories that can support moms like me and children like mine. You have that power. Be that person who connects a woman to hope. Be the reason she knows she's not alone. And by the way, thank you to the men here today. Your voice carries weight, and we need you. I am Sarah Herm, and as we stand here ready to march today, join me in making a commitment of being living proof that life is a gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for sharing about the life-saving work done by PRCs, and thank you, Sarah, for sharing your powerful story of courage and hope. Marchers, I hope you're enjoying our program today. Thank you. Our team at the March for Life has worked incredibly hard to put this day together for you. It is our great privilege to do this work, truly. But stages don't spring up on the National Mall out of nowhere, believe it or not, and there are no pro-life elves waiting in the wings to do all of this work for us. Our efforts to give the pro-life movement and our whole nation the gift of the March for Life require significant effort and significant resources. That's why I'm asking you to consider supporting our work today by getting out your phone once again and texting GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 73075. The March for Life will always be free to attend. So we rely on the voluntary support of our marchers to make this powerful event happen, and you can be a part of that for future marchers. Again, to support this iconic event today, please text GIVE to 73075. Thank you for your partnership in helping us bring the march to life. Now, to tell you about the impact of our state march program, I would like to welcome to the stage my colleague Hannah Callahan, Senior State March Lead at the March for Life.
Hello, marchers. Let me just start by saying thank you. 2025 was a record year for the State March program, thanks to all of you and all of our incredible local partners who helped make this possible. We are now marching in over 20 state capitals. We are changing hearts and minds from coast to coast. And joining me on stage are some of my colleagues, representatives from our wonderful State March partner organizations. And I am so honored to be able to introduce them all to you today. Let's hear it for your state march when your state is named. We march in Alaska with the Alaska Family Council, Arizona with the Arizona Life Coalition, California with the California Family Council, Colorado with Pro-Life Colorado, Connecticut with the Connecticut Catholic Conference and the Family Institute of Connecticut, Georgia with pro-life groups all around the state, Indiana with Right to Life of Indianapolis, I hear a lot of you, Iowa with Post-Life Advocates, Kansas with Kansas for Life, yes! Kentucky with the Kentucky Right to Life, Maryland with the Maryland March for Life Committee, Michigan with Right to Life of Michigan, I see a lot of you, Montana with Pro-Life Montana and the Montana Family Foundation, New Hampshire with New Hampshire Right to Life, New Jersey with New Jersey Right to Life, North Dakota with the North Dakota Pro-Life Committee, Ohio with the Center of Christian Virtue, in Oklahoma with many pro-life groups, yes, in Oregon with the Oregon Right to Life, in Pennsylvania with the Pennsylvania Family Institute, and in Virginia with the Family Foundation. And many other states to come, I'm very excited to say. Let's hear it for our state marches, taking the fight to life for our state capitals. Be sure to mark your calendar for your state's March for Life as we bring your pro-life voice, not only to your representatives here in DC, but also to your state capitals. Please enjoy this State March program video.
Hello, marchers.
It is an honor to be here with all of you on this day, at this moment, for this important cause.
Are you ready to celebrate life with us?
We are here because we care about babies in the womb.
We, the American people, have the power to protect the unborn, both at the state and federal level.
Your voices raised together are so powerful, especially in this post-Roe era where the people, through our elected representatives, get to set abortion policy in this country.
We are here so that the people in the State House behind us know that we care for the lives of both women and their babies.
We're here today to remind people life is not about geography or abstract lines. It's about humanity and truth.
We march for every life.
We march because we know that truth and life will ultimately prevail.
So today, we're not just marchers, but we're here as defenders of life, as warriors for truth and voices for the voiceless.
We know what we have to do. We have to continue to fight until all life, born and unborn, is protected.
To change the hearts and minds of the people. Changed hearts will lead to changed laws.
Never forget that this movement was never simply about overturning Roe. It was about challenging the culture to promote human life and to promote human flourishing.
But we can't let today be the end of the story.
We will not stop
until every life is protected and every woman is supported.
A march is a spark, but what matters is what we do with it once we go home.
Friends, let us be strong then and very courageous.
Our work is not done. Let's march.
As you can see, a number of additional friends have joined me on stage. I am now surrounded by some of our incredible pro-life leaders from across the nation who work each and every day to build a culture of life in their communities. You can see their names on the screens to my left and to my right. And each organization they represent meets a different need in the pro-life movement and in our local communities. With over 65 million Americans lost to abortion and millions of women and families wounded, the work for all of us is not over. We honor each and every one of you for your life-saving missions and invaluable work. Thank you for all of the work that you do day in and day out to make abortion unthinkable. Yes, can I hear it from my coalition partners, please? Thank you. Truly, it's such a gift. It's such a gift to be able to work with all of these amazing pro-life leaders. And finally, joining us now to lead the closing prayer is Sissy Graham Lynch, the senior advisor and spokesperson for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association and Samaritan's Purse, an international Christian relief and evangelization organization. Following the prayer, we'll start our march as we listen to the West's rendition of God Bless America. Please welcome to the podium, Sissy Graham Lynch.
Who's ready to march? I'm here to say almost 10 years ago, this march convicted me and changed my life. I was a woman and a Christian who sat silently on the sidelines for so many years and had struggled through my own pregnancies thinking I was going to be an unfit mom. But it was this, the young generation, the high school students, the college students, and I saw them say they were not going to accept Roe as their future, and that they saw it put to an end. And now we have a generation marching saying we're going to make it unthinkable. And so I want to thank you. And let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come today and we are gathered with grateful hearts, knowing that life is a gift, a sacred gift given by you alone. And because you, God, loved us so much, you gave us the greatest gift of all. And that was your Son, Jesus Christ, who came to this earth. He died on the cross for our sins. He defeated death, and he rose again, that all who trust in him will be saved. But it's through him we know the worth and the beauty of every life that you create. Lord, we thank you for a president and a vice president who value all life And we thank you for all the hard work that has been done and that has been won. But Lord, as we leave this place today, we know there's a lot of work still to be done. So Lord, as we go, give us the strength, fill us with the courage, give us the compassion. But Lord, may we stand with an unwavering conviction. And may we be a nation who stands before the world and says that we are a country that values all life, Lord, because you are the giver and you are the author of life. And we pray this in the powerful name of Jesus. Amen. Let's march.
All right, friends, just a couple of administrative announcements as we make our way to the start of the march. First things first, we like to keep the Capitol grounds as clean as we found them, so please pick up your trash, exit behind you and along the sides through the security checkpoints to make your way to the march starting point. Please follow the marshals. They will guide you in the correct direction. There's a lot of you here today, so please follow their lead so we can maintain everyone's safety. And with all of that, let's go march!
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, and from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and from New York to LA, there's a pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, defend
right, there you have it. There's the end of the stage portion of the March for Life. The march has now commenced, and the marchers that are there, thousands, clearly a very large and enthusiastic crowd there, taking in all of the speeches that we saw today. And Billy, Dan Andros here, Billy Hallowell from CBN here with me. And obviously, Vice President J.D. Vance was the headliner here out of all these speakers. And he was drawing a stark contrast, Billy, with the previous administration and what their focus was. I think at one point he mentioned, radical gender ideology or something of that nature. But we should be promoting families and supporting nuclear families. So he drew the contrast there, and it was, a powerful message.
It was, and I think it's a contrast that made a big impact in the last election, regardless of what side people are on. A lot of people reacted to not only the abortion issue, but obviously the gender issue. And so I think he's speaking into something that a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, particularly in that latter issue, care a lot about. And there is a big distinction between the way that these issues have been handled. Obviously, I mean, when the former Vice President Kamala Harris was in office, she was the first vice president, I think, to visit an abortion clinic ever, right? And so you went from that to now having a vice president who's speaking at the March for Life. You couldn't have a bigger, starker difference between the two. And you also have some other interesting optics here that J.D. Vance and his wife just announced that they're having another baby, right? And so really interesting timing of that with this March for Life. And so I thought his message was very uplifting, positive, but also a call to action. Going back to the whole notion of changing people's hearts, that seems to be something that carried through in many of these addresses.
Yeah, it really did. And the vice president himself kind of echoed a lot of what the themes were and what the president of the March for Life was talking about, in how that, it's going to shift in that. And not that they don't obviously promote these things in general, but as far as kind of making it a point of emphasis for the organization going forward, and really making the case that life should be valued in all circumstances in the womb from the moment of conception. We saw that last speaker, one of the later speakers, talking about the heartbeat bill and how the doctor's having to look for the heartbeat, find the heartbeat that ends up saving a life. I mean, you see this as human beings when we look at things like a heartbeat. I mean, it's kind of like you just feel like eyes are closed at some point, right? To just say choice, 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 and throw out bumper sticker slogans when there's a heartbeat there. And you have to kind of do some mental gymnastics to talk yourself into, well, they're just clumps of cells and fetus, and which of course is just Latin for offspring. And in this case, it's human offspring. So human fetus, human being. So yeah. should have value and protection. And so we see these things play out, Billy, and the vice president definitely that. And we had a message from President Trump as well. It was a video message. He's not there in person, but it's a big deal that even Vice President Vance would show up at these things, because we're seeing the nature of politics today and how dangerous it's become just to share your opinion on things. And President Trump himself, obviously multiple attempts on his life. We saw what happened in Charlie Kirk, and you hate to go there mentally, but anytime there's a big crowd like this, you have to consider the possibility. So people are taking a risk being out there.
They are. And I want to note something. This is important. The new Marist poll that was commissioned by the Knights of Columbus, this comes out every year. A lot of people will say, well, Americans, they support abortion. And it depends on how you ask the question. But here's what we know. This new data, 67%, almost 7 in 10 Americans support placing legal limits on abortion. So almost 7 in 10 people want to see some restriction. And that's both pro-choice and pro-life people on abortion. And they want to see policies that protect women and an unborn child. And so, there's a lot of other stats that we could share, but that's an important one that I think gets lost in this conversation. How do we get there? That's the debate.
Yeah. And, throughout, this event here, we've been chasing down interviews here. So I want to get to a clip here of one of those interviews, which is Gabriella McIntyre from ADF. And so I want you to hear what she had to say.
And with us now is Gabriella McIntyre with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Gabriella, thank you so much for being with us. I mean, you guys were on the front lines of this fight to overturn Roe. Tell me about what this march means to you and where are we at today with stopping abortion?
Yeah, so this march is so important. Every year we all gather to give a voice to the voiceless, to support mothers, and to support the people who are boots on the ground, supporting both mothers and their children and families in general. So it's really great to be here. Now, after Roe was toppled, we had the Dobbs decision that gave the promise of, states would be able to regulate abortion and decide that weighty issue of when do we protect life. And many states did protect life. They decided that they were going to put in protections for the unborn. Unfortunately, in 2023, the Biden administration then came in and made abortion drugs available by mail by changing the REMS, the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy for mifepristone, for the express purpose of evading those state laws and causing abortions in pro-life states that have decided to protect the unborn.
I think a lot of people expected after Roe, after Dobbs, that abortions would essentially end or at least maybe be significantly reduced, but there are still 900,000 or so abortions every single year. So what role do you think now these pills are playing in this to keep these numbers going? Is that what's driving most of these numbers?
Absolutely. And abortion drugs, chemical abortion drugs, the FDA-approved mifepristone and misoprostol regimen, we know that that is used over 60% of the time for over 60% of all abortions. And the most fantastic statistic is that actually after Dobbs, the amount of abortions in the United States has actually increased. And in pro-life states, it's increased. In Louisiana alone, the data that came out at the end of last year from the Pro-Abortion Society of Family Planning showed that abortions, there were at least 1,000 or nearly 1,000 abortion drugs being sent illegally into the state of Louisiana.
One person a month. One person prior to your interview also mentioned to me that people are being encouraged to stock up on some of these abortion drugs, maybe particularly young people. Where is this message coming from? How are they getting this message that this is a good thing to do?
Well, when the Biden administration in 2023 made these drugs available by the mail, abortion drug facilitators like Aid Access, like other organizations like Plan C, they started telling women not only to stock up on the abortion drugs, but to lie even to emergency staff if they suffer a complication and go to the emergency room, tell them that they are having a miscarriage. It's a very sinister, practice that has emerged, all because of that mail order abortion drug scheme.
Certainly a lot of challenges. What do you see as the biggest? Is it the laws? Is it the culture? Is it the messaging? How does this get better?
Well, the first step is to ensure that we hold the FDA accountable for making these drugs available in the mail, and reinstating that in-person dispensing requirement will do a load of good for women and for unborn babies, and especially would allow those states that have chosen after Dobbs to protect life to do so.
Thank you so much. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Tara. Man, that's some startling stuff, Billy. I mean, to hear, we talked about how the numbers are just going up, but even in the what you would consider to be pro-life states, you see this rise, and man, it's really crazy to see that happening. And of course, a lot of it being driven by the push for these, these pills being delivered in the mail and things like that of that nature. And it's really disturbing to see that number rise. And you can't help but think, I mean, we used to be a country of safe, legal, and rare, but that rhetoric from the pro-choice side is completely gone. And now it is very much seeming to be pushing for acceptance of just doing it as just a 50-50 toss. If you want it, great. If not, great. Like, there's no more restraint, it seems like. And I feel like the pro-choice side, for at least people who are pro-choice minded, pro-abortion, that they've successfully sort of driven a narrative of fear that this is going to go away, and if you really want your abortion, you better do it. I mean, I can't think of any other reason why we'd see this dramatic spike in abortions.
you also have decades now of Hollywood and the media covering this in a very unfair way or a very biased way, the way that this topic shows up on television shows even, right? The dramas, every time abortion comes up, very rarely is it coming up in the way that it should. It's coming up in a very, this is a important thing for you to have the right to do, and you should have the right to do this. And so when you indoctrinate people with this, and then you instill fear in them over this, and you create narratives, some of these narratives that have been created about why people have abortions, we often will focus in on a very small percentage of abortions and why they happen, on the complexities in pregnancy, those sorts of things, when the reality is that 85 to 90% of abortions have nothing to do with that. They have to do with people's choice to simply have an abortion.
You think, Billy, the movie, do you remember the movie Juno? I think
Yes.
it was called. And it's, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's a really great movie, but it's about a high school girl who gets pregnant and then decides to keep the baby. And so, I don't know if they wrote it intentionally as like a pro-life film, but it was certainly interesting and countercultural to what Hollywood would normally push. You think that movie gets made today?
Not in this environment right now, unless, I mean, look, the movie Unplanned was made about Abby Johnson, right? It has to be made outside of that studio system by
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
faith
from
and family
Hollywood, right?
friendly.
Exactly.
Not in Central Hollywood. No, I don't think it gets made.
Yeah, well, we also had here at the March for Life, this is what you're watching, by the way, if you're just tuning in, thanks for being here. We also had Speaker Mike Johnson speaking as well, and a whole host of, there was definitely a lot of politicians there. Dan Crenshaw was there. There was just the whole, they listed them off while they were all there. So there were clearly a lot of politicians there supporting this movement. But as we said, the fight continues. It's going to go into the states. That is where you're going to see a lot of the kind of battles being fought on the ground. And, we're going to look for a lot of emphasis here in the future, Billy, from the pro-life movement on supporting women better, and fewer will feel abortion is their only option. This is messaging that they're trying to lean into from here on forward here for this year and beyond. It's something that has existed, but they're really doubling down on it. Pregnancy resource centers, church-based support, adoption and foster care reform, and going forward with that and really trying to let people know that, no, you don't have to be fear-mongered into an abortion. So a lot to, there's a lot to consider here as we watch all these speakers and we see the people getting ready and marching and heading on down to the Capitol here. But I want to play another clip here from Sarah Gable from Every Life, who Tara caught up with. Let's check it out.
And with us now is Sarah Gable with Every Life Diaper Company. What an interesting model that you guys have. Not only do you sell diapers, you are donating diapers to mothers in crisis. How does that fit into the pro-life movement and the March for Life?
Absolutely. So Every Life is the first and only pro-life diaper company on the market today. Believe it or not, every major diaper company is supporting abortion, either vocally or financially. So when I discovered this, I felt obligated to create the hopeful solution. And we provide premium products to moms and dads across the U.S., but we also donate products, over 8 million now, to pregnancy resource centers that are in urgent need of these supplies so they can help moms and dads choose life for their babies. And that's why we're here at the March for Life, because we're a company that is unapologetically for life. We believe that every life is a gift from God, deserving of love, protection, and celebration. And we're here to celebrate every life and march for that very reason.
What kind of, albeit maybe indirectly, impact do you think you've had by giving this pregnancy centers these diapers? Like, is there a message here? Is there some kind of impact you feel like you've had as a company?
Absolutely. So I had the honor of actually directing a pregnancy resource center before I started Every Life. And I got to meet with these girls who were considering abortion. And I got to learn the concerns that they have. And many of them just need the practical essentials like diapers and wipes, because every mom and dad, they need diapers, they need wipes. wives. And it can be the difference between life or death for that unborn baby. So we know when we donate these diapers, they're not just sitting in warehouses. They're not just sitting in pregnancy centers. They're going into the hands of moms who desperately need to know that people care for them and love them. And it can help them choose life for their child. So we believe we're saving lives. We're not only changing diapers, we're truly changing lives through the work that we're doing every single day at every life.
You've had this role in a pregnancy crisis center. Do you believe from talking with these women that knowing they have support from things like diapers to ways to take care of this baby, how much of a difference do you think that would actually make to the pro-life movement?
Well, statistically, 60% of women would say that if they had the emotional support and the financial stability and the practical essentials to help them with them stepping into parenthood, they would have chosen life for their baby. So you can just see right there how important it is to not only care for the woman emotionally, but to care for her practically. So I know that these products can give them hope, give them a sense of meaning, and give them a community to let them know that as a parent, you have people that are with you, that are for you, that are fighting with you, and that you're not alone. And people don't want to feel alone. They want to feel like they have the love and the care. And that's what we're doing by providing these diapers to moms who so desperately need the support.
No question, it takes a village, and you guys are doing your part. So thank you for that. And guys, back to you.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit, even something that maybe to some people it doesn't seem like a big deal, like offering diapers just to help. I mean, like that is, I mean, my kids are all in like the teenage years and now, and so I'm beyond that phase. But I remember that phase, and it was pure chaos when you've got multiple kids, especially around there. And just a side note on the diaper thing, you know, we went through a phase one time where some in the family who shall remain nameless wanted to do cloth diapers. And like, I'm just going to advocate, against I'm sorry if you're a big fan of cloth diapers, but it was a horrifying experience. And all this to underscore the importance of actual regular diapers. They are very important to the day-to-day life. When you have a newborn, when you have the young ones, it's crazy. It's pure chaos. It's wonderful.
Well, and it's
chaos,
expensive. And it's expensive.
Yes.
And that's the other part of this. You know, when we talk about people, you know, this message about changing hearts and the fact that the 60% of women who had abortions, they wish they had done something different, or they wish there was another option had they had support. There are tons of people in the pro-life movement and in churches and Christians across the country who are offering that support, but we need to step up and do more. There's a bigger need. We need to serve it. And it's convicting, I think, to all of us as we hear these speeches and we think about these numbers that we need to get out there and do that. And those crisis pregnancy centers, this is important, you know, that a lot of people on the secular side have gone after, a lot of people on the pro-choice side have gone after. They've tried to, through the law, target these, you know, pregnancy support centers, go after them, malign them, demean them. That poll I mentioned from Marist and the Knights of Columbus said that 84% of Americans support pregnancy centers. And that is a winning statistic. More than 8 in 10 Americans support these centers. So that's another place we can support. If you can't do it directly, go and support your local crisis pregnancy centers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, because it's interesting that there was that sort of flurry of all the attacks on the pro-life clinics and the pregnancy centers, because on the one hand, you hear the argument, oh, you know, you Christians just don't want to take care and help. You tell everybody to have their baby, and then you're just, where are you? You're ghosting. And then they went out, and then we have these centers, and then they go and attack them. It's kind of a weird thing that was going on there, a weird dynamic. But these places do exist, and they are critical, because it does seem like that is apparently one of the top, if not the top, concerns that people in crisis pregnancies are concerned about, which is, hey, how are we going to afford this? And they're scared. And they're just scared because there's, you know, everything's expensive now, and there are a lot of expenses. And so to come alongside these people and to show them the love of Christ by saying, hey, we're not just yelling at you and saying, hey, you know, don't abort your child, have a good day, good luck. I mean, you actually come alongside them and help them. And that goes a lot longer of a way towards convincing people, right? That you really do believe that these lives are valuable. You're not just saying this because it's convenient to say. You're actually putting your money where your mouth is, and that will resonate with a lot of people. But a lot of people marching, I don't know what the number is. We'll probably get a number here at some point from officials here later in the day, but clearly thousands and thousands of people down there in Washington, D.C. ahead of this big snowstorms coming. If you are in the path of this storm, please be careful. It is going to be, apparently, judging by all of these forecasts, it's going to be either really icy, potentially power out for a long time with cold, cold weather. So this march is happening just before all of that, but everyone is getting out there and they are supporting this cause. But Billy, any more thoughts you want to add to this?
You know, one thing, we don't want to forget the biggest tool in our arsenal, which is prayer. So we need to be praying today for the marchers, but praying for the women around the country and the men who find themselves in these situations and have to make choices, and that they would make a God-honoring choice. And just pray for our country and our leaders, because these are difficult moments and big, big issues.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with the prayers, we talked about it earlier, Billy, how it does seem sometimes that people have just their eyes closed. Like they just can't see sort of the silliness in some of the things they're saying with these bumper sticker slogans that just make no sense. So we need to pray for God to open their eyes, peel the scales back off of their eyes so that they can see the value and the dignity and the worth of these little human beings that are in the womb, and hopefully spur on a big culture change here into where we're not acting like a lot of the cultures in the Old Testament did when they were just quick to child sacrifice. And we don't want to be that same way. And that's what everybody out here is marching for. But that's going to do it for our coverage here this year of the 2026 March for Life. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support CBN News and you appreciate the coverage that we're doing, there you're not going to see a ton of people spending this much time, this much resources, this much energy to topics like this and to issues like this, and to do it from a Christian perspective. So if you appreciate that and you get value out of our coverage, not just on this, but on other issues going on in the world today, go to cbnnews.com, go to cbn.com and go ahead and you can donate today. You can become partners with us, and you can come alongside us as we work to bring you the news of the day from a Christian perspective. So God bless you. Appreciate you all for being here. And again, stay safe this weekend if you're in the path of that storm. And God bless. We'll see you next time.